All right, today we're going to step back, way back, thousands of years into ancient Mesopotamia. We're here to unravel a really fascinating and honestly pretty unsettling story of survival. This is the parable of the scorch and the shield.
So at the very heart of this story is this ancient proverb. And it's a total paradox, isn't it? I mean, inviting a destructive storm to protect you from a predator? That sounds like you're just trading one disaster for another. But this saying holds the key to a surprisingly smart and pragmatic way of looking at the world.
And that, of course, brings us to the central question. It's a question that really forces you to think beyond these simple ideas of good and evil. Why would anyone in their right mind willingly bring a known danger into their home? Well, to find that answer, we first have to understand the world these people were living in.
So yeah, we're headed to ancient Mesopotamia, a place where chaotic spirits were believed to control everything: the wind, the earth, the fate of every single family. To really get the logic of the shield, you first have to understand the nature of the scorch.
Okay, so here are our two main players. On one side, you've got Pazuzu, the scorch. Think of him as a force of nature, that destructive desert wind that brings famine and sickness, a terrifying but kind of impersonal disaster. But on the other side, you have Lamashtu, the hunter. Her evil, it's intimate, it's personal. She's the one who creeps into homes to steal the breath from newborns, a direct, horrifying threat right at the heart of the family.
And this is the crucial point, right here. While everybody feared the drought and the fever that Pazuzu brought, the idea of Lamashtu's shadow hovering over your child's cradle tonight, well, that was a far more immediate and gut-wrenching terror. And that kind of desperation, that's where our story really begins.
Which brings us to the parable itself. We're going to follow the story of a weaver named Adad, who's facing this exact terrible choice. And he's about to do something that, on the surface, looks completely insane.
So this is the voice of Adad's neighbor, and it's the voice of logic, you know? He sees Adad holding an amulet of Pazuzu, the literal demon of sickness, and he's horrified. Why on earth would you bring an image of the plague into your home to protect a child? It's a perfectly reasonable question.
But Adad's response is just brilliant. It cuts right to the heart of his whole strategy. See, he's not looking for a gentle protector. He's living in a dangerous world, and he knows he needs a dangerous tool. He's basically saying that to fight a vicious threat, you need an equally, if not more, ferocious weapon.
And here it is, the climax. Picture this. Lamashtu, the child stealer, creeps towards the home. But when she crosses the threshold, she doesn't find a blessing or a prayer. No, she finds the snarling bronze face of Pazuzu staring back at her. She's met with the promise of a violence that even a demon like her is afraid of. The presence of a greater predator scares off the lesser one. And just like that, the crazy gambit actually pays off.
I mean, the story is fantastic, right? But the logic behind it is even more compelling. This isn't just some old folktale. It's a deep lesson in strategy, psychology, and ultimately survival. So let's break down what's really going on here.
The concept we're really talking about here is what we might call a necessary evil. Pazuzu is never, ever framed as a good guy. He's still the demon of famine and blight. But in this specific context, his destructive nature is harnessed as a tool, a weapon that's used to stop the more immediate and terrible harm that Lamashtu represents.
This whole strategy has layers. First, you've got the utility of the grotesque, using a terrifying image to scare away a real terror. But it goes deeper. It shows that power isn't just a simple binary of good or bad. It's a force of nature, and its value depends entirely on how you use it. Adad wasn't praying to Pazuzu, he was using him. This is a strategic engagement with fear. Not running from the darkness, but using a piece of that darkness as your shield.
And this quote from Adad just sums up that complex relationship perfectly. It's a full-on admission of how harsh the world can be. He understands that to navigate a dark world, sometimes you need a guide who is fluent in its language, even if that guide is a monster itself.
Okay, I know this ancient concept can feel a little abstract, so let's bring it right into the modern day with a really simple analogy.
So for a minute, forget about demons and ancient winds. Instead, I want you to picture a much more common problem, just trying to protect your food supply.
So here's how it works. Step 1, your pantry's getting destroyed by mice and rats. That's your Lamashtu. So step 2, you get a highly venomous snake and you keep it in a secure cage right near the pantry. That's your Pazuzu.
Step 3, the snake's terrifying presence is more than enough to scare all the vermin away. But here's the crucial part, Step 4. You aren't celebrating the snake's venom. You're not calling it good. You are just simply and pragmatically using its inherently fearsome nature to protect what matters to you.
And that, right there, is the ultimate lesson of the Scorch and the Shield. It's a cold, clear-eyed assessment of the world. It suggests that survival isn't always about finding the light. Sometimes it's about having the courage to understand the darkness well enough to use one shadow to fight another.
Which, leaves us with a final thought to chew on. This ancient logic, this strategy of harnessing a destructive force to fight a more immediate one, it's still all around us. So the question is this: what are the venomous snakes in cages that we use today? What necessary evils serve as our modern shields?